And we are live. Perfect. Okay, let me double check on the channel just to make sure that everything is hunky-dory, as they say. Wait for some people to come in. And that's odd. I don't see it yet on the channel. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Everything is operational. All right. How are you guys doing? Hey, we got Volks in here. We got Just Generic. We've got Berries. Lightning Lash. And then we've got Q. Who says sup? Uncle Boris, Mr. Waffle, The Slow Vision. Ah, that's good. That's good coffee. How are you guys doing? Did any of you catch the Halo show yesterday? Because we are going to be talking about said show. Season 2 was okay. Well, that's an amazing analysis considering it's not out yet. I mean, I get what you mean, though. Yeah, first 2 episodes, I've got a lot of thoughts about them, and I'd love to discuss them with you guys. Halo, airtight. Still holding out for Halo Wars 3. Oh, gosh. I'd love for a Halo Wars 3. I really wish Halo was in the position where, like, a Halo Wars 3 is a no-brainer. Nah, man, spoiler it. I'm not gonna watch it. The Fall of Reach is better than the Halo TV show. Like, the book? Well, yeah, the Halo Fall of Reach book is great. Like, it's not just good as a Halo book, it's good enough that it's also just like a great generic science fiction story. Like, even people who weren't into Halo were reading The Fall of Reach. I liked your post about Halsey being stuck inside a Doctor Who episode. Yeah, that was like, I mean, it was definitely like funny. Like, it is scary, I think, but it was unintentionally funny. Like, the wife and I got some comedic value out of just, like, this girl dying over and over again, and Halsey's like, yes, we've had this conversation before. Who's the man? Damn it, you know, and the girl dies again. Yeah, it's like she's Dr. Halsey is currently trapped in a Stephen Moffat episode of Doctor Who. Season 2 is mid. Maybe it's just because I'm a little bit more forgiving on the Halo show, I guess, than like some other people. But I guess mid isn't the word I would describe it as. It's better than Season 1 so far. And that's not exactly like a high bar to cross, but it's, I don't know. So far, I'm enjoying myself. If it says anything, I walked away from the Halo show feeling excited about Halo. Rather than kind of like confused, I guess. Like Season 1, where at the end of Season 1, it's just kind of like, man, it really petered out, you know? Definitely better than Season 1, though, so far. What I also appreciate is the more militaristic direction that they're taking it in. Like, one of the first things I noticed is the camera work feels a lot more involved and I guess, like, a part of the world rather than this, like, a video game render. Because, like, Season 1 had a lot of just kind of weird, unflattering, unintentionally unflattering camera work that made the world feel a lot faker than it was. And so far, the way that Season 2 is being shot, there's a lot more creativity in the camera work, and there's a lot more, I guess, like, grittiness in it. Like, it's hard to explain. It was, I noticed it, there's this shot that is kind of like following Pablo Schreiber as he goes into Ackerson's office, and, like, the camera is shaking in the same way that, like, somebody holding it would be shaking as they walk. So it made the camera feel like it was right behind Pablo Schreiber and like you were there in the room with him. And it's just little stuff like that, where if it was the first season, it would have just been a flat, wide shot of the whole room, and you would have seen, like, everybody walking around the whole room, and it would have looked very clean, and there wouldn't have been a single blemish, and it would have felt very fake because of it. LNG, what do you use to edit videos? Oh, formerly I used Vegas, and now I have moved up to Premiere. And so far, Premiere is treating me pretty well. I have a few complaints with it, but so far it is a substantial upgrade. Every time we switched away to the Rock plotline, I literally skipped it. Everything else is pretty decent. The Rock plotline? What's the Rock? You don't mean Soren, or whatever his name is, right? I've been hearing very mixed things on Season 2. I do not actually pay attention to Twitter, really, anymore, or like what people are saying. Or haven't, at least, since Halo Season 2, the first 2 episodes dropped. So, is it mixed? I mean, probably among, like, core Halo fans, but for, like, general audiences who the show is, like, mostly aimed at, I wonder what their reception is. I had the pleasure of being able to watch Halo with my mother-in-law, and let me tell you, it was a very interesting experience, seeing, like, somebody who didn't know what Halo was watching the show, because she actually quite liked it. Is her story at least better now? You were skipping all of Quan's stuff. Her story is better now. They mostly ditched almost everything. So, like, Madrigal, her home planet, don't worry about it, it's glassed. The Covenant glassed it. So everything there, every single character there, like, all of that stuff, like, don't worry about it. Madrigal's gone forever. And now Quan is more like an involved character, I guess, within the greater Halo universe. That's not to say that the characters... No, you know what? I'm gonna say Soren has been kind of, like, demoted to being the weakest story. And Quan is at least a little bit further up the chain now. Whereas before, Quan, unfortunately, took a lot of the heavy fire from the community just because her story last season was very much not that interesting. She had to like save her planet from like a Nazi or something like that. Do you think Elon will buy Disney? No. It was the most generic sci-fi thing with Halo flavor. So boring. Glad it's better now. Yeah, Season 1? Yeah. What I do also really like about Season 2 so far is it seems like they have kind of like gone to great lengths to address some of the community's criticisms. Like, at the end of the day, the show still is not being made for Halo fans. That's not the point of it. It's being made for people who don't know what Halo is. But there is more of an effort to kind of like meet Halo fans halfway. You'd probably be surprised if you looked at the metrics, the Halo fan versus non-Halo fan. And I'd be willing to bet that non-Halo fans are outnumbered in terms of viewership for that show. Maki should have stayed dead and never mentioned again. Completely agree. That is... So, like, so far, almost all of the... Even the stuff with, like, Soren's, like, stupid wife, Cruella de Vil, even that is, like, fine, I can live with it. But bringing back Maki is one of those things where it's, like, that... I'm being forgiving to the show. But that is the first, like, alright, that was bad. That was very bad. That was dumb. You guys didn't need to do that, you know? We made a show that didn't appeal to Halo fans, the primary audience of Halo, and the show didn't go well. Shocker. Well, it's not that the show... So, here's the thing. Transformers 2007, that wasn't made for Transformers fans. That was made for general audiences, and that made a ton of money. Like, most of these shows, the goal is to reach a wide audience, not a narrow audience. You know, they're not like, let's only appeal to core Halo fans. And I think sometimes as core Halo fans, we can get, we can kind of forget that not everybody else fully understands the Halo universe. And some people aren't even familiar with, like, the science fiction genre either. Like, watching with my mother-in-law was super interesting because it took her a while just to understand, like, the science fiction setting. It took a lot of explaining that, like, no, it's not like Star Wars, it's not in a galaxy far, far away, it's in our future. No, it's not like Interstellar, it's a bit like this. And then having to introduce the concept of, like, aliens. And thank God the first episode of Halo Season 1 did not have every member of the Covenant species in it. Thank God it was just elites. Because that would have been a whole other headache, trying to introduce her to the fact that, like, no, they are aliens, but they're not all the same aliens, they just work together. No, they don't work with humans. No, there aren't friendly aliens, you know. So it's like, Halo is a lot. Halo is a lot, and making a show for Halo fans at the detriment of other people, like, it's not a recipe for success either. That's not to say that Halo Season 1 is perfect, by the way. Just that I do understand and can see the reasoning behind not targeting the primary Halo audience. With the Halo show, I mean. Do I remember you, says Nifty Noob? Or do you remember me, he says. Yeah, I do remember you.
Your team scored. Weapon drop.
Yeah. Halsey and the UNSC looked like the Divergent Hunger Games, and Maze Runner sci-fi architecture. Amanda's lab was an empty room with a table iPad. Yeah, I read that they, because Season 1 famously was in development production hell for, like, over 10 years. And it has been through 17 different lead writers. I forgot the exact number, and they had like hundreds and hundreds of scripts over the course of the decade. And even then, when they finally were kind of able to get everybody focused and get the show, you know, moving, there was a lot of like post-production fixing of problems. And it definitely shows. You know, like, you can almost... The story that I read, what I was trying to get to, was that when they were doing reshoots on it, they had to get assistance from Paramount's Star Trek people, and so some scenes were just filmed on Star Trek sets that they had. And it shows, because the Halo show, its set design was very inconsistent in Season 1. Sometimes it would be like, well, I guess we're in the desert, and there's, like, a pickup truck over there. Or we're in the super sanitized, very glossy, kind of like ugly, generic sci-fi room. And nothing felt particularly Halo-y. And so far, in Season 2, the set design is extremely consistent. The costume design, for certain people, could still use a ton of work, but as far as set design is concerned, it feels more like a coherent world than Season 1 did, where Season 1 felt like a hodgepodge of, like, Star Wars and Mass Effect and also Star Trek, specifically Star Trek Discovery. What have I missed so far? You have not missed much. In fact, we just started. Show your mother-in-law a video of Loreman Hidden Xperia. Oh, she is very familiar with Hidden Xperia. She thinks he's very funny. Because Luke and I, we were on a call like maybe a month ago. We were talking to each other about about Escape from Tarkov, and I was playing him out loud, and my mother-in-law was listening. So yeah, she's very familiar. How do you feel about the Reach and Infinite AR model? Because I seen Hidden Xperia wish it was never made. I don't mind the Reach assault rifle model. I think that the Halo Reach assault rifle, this is gonna sound weird, it should only be seen from a very specific angle. Otherwise, I think it looks unintentionally goofy. And that is the Halo Reach default Xbox 360 view model. If you, like, bring it in or make it too wide, it starts to look kind of odd. And I do think that that is a problem with it. But I largely don't mind it. I think it looks cool, at least in Halo Reach. In Halo Infinite, it's a good model, but it's not quite a fan, I guess, of like how clean, I guess, it looks at points, just because of the weird way that Halo Infinite handles its lighting. There's a lot of blue sky leakage happening with it, so it makes the gun almost look blue. Unintentionally, I should add.
Your team scored. Weapon drop.
Do you think the show would have worked at reaching a bigger audience if it was closer to the normal Halo lore? I don't think it has to be based on the normal Halo lore. Like, I do think that you can take liberties. Look at, like, the MCU as an example. You know, the MCU isn't, Marvel Comics. It's kind of like its own take on the characters, and that largely was extremely successful. I think the problem with the Halo show is that it should use the primary lore. It should trust it more as a foundation, I guess. Because it does feel like they were a little bit too anxious about how general audiences would feel, and some of that also might just be because it was constantly being rewritten and passed through different writers' hands. So it's entirely possible that the reason Season 1 was so messy wasn't because of, like, focus group testing showed that they wanted to appeal to this demographic or blah, 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 blah. It was probably more likely that it was just there were so many goddamn scripts that nobody could keep track of what was written. And so far with Season 2, it feels more like I expected an alternative take on Halo to feel. As in, it feels like way more respectful of the game's canon, even if it is not following it. Outside of Maki. Like, basically, this is me excluding the dumb holdovers from Season 1. Which, those actors signed contracts. So they've got to do something with them, and they're not going to reboot the show, because, believe it or not, there were fans of Season 1. And a quick way to kill your show is if you just start over. Like, just pretend that the previous season didn't happen and start over. Like, you gotta keep going, and you've almost gotta, like, fix it in motion. And so far with Season 2, they are fixing it in motion, and hopefully, by the end of Season 2, we've mostly gotten rid of all the unnecessary baggage from Season 1, such as Maki. Oh my god, QAlter just gifted memberships to people. We got Starkiller 768, Endless Ian, Jan, Dim Aura, and Orpheus. So guys, you are all now members of the channel. If you check, there are some pretty fun emotes that you can use now in the chat, such as Craig. Maybe we could even get Quan Ha as an emote. No, that feels mean, actually, because that actress, she got a lot of abuse from the internet. I'm trying to think of something dumber. Maybe we can have that unpainted plasma pistol prop from Season 1 as an emote. But I don't want them to do the same thing they did with Halo 4 and 5, just abandoning their idea. Maybe they'll surprise us. With Season 2? Oh, well, okay. I do think that, like, obviously you can't just keep abandoning things, like, that you start, but I do think it is okay if an idea is just fundamentally not working, to take it in a more interesting direction. The problem with Halo 4 and 5 was that, like, the new direction wasn't that interesting. Like, Halo 4, okay, a little bit weird, you know, but let's see where it goes. And then Halo 5 was just, oh, this is an even worse idea. And then Halo Infinite does it again, and Halo Infinite, okay, a little bit more of an interesting idea, but now you've got fans of Halo 5 that are mad, and Halo 4 fans are still mad about Halo 5, and now they're mad at Halo Infinite too, and you've just got a fan base at war with each other. What did you think about that therapy session of Riz and the guy? I just did not understand that, I'll be honest. That was very bizarre. Maybe somebody else can explain it to me. Okay, there is something that I do not like about Paramount Plus shows. I do not like them, Sam I Am. I do not like them with Green Eggs and Ham. And it's the mystics and the magicalness and the faith, belief. I hate that stuff, and it's in every single Paramount Plus show, including the shows where it doesn't make sense, like Star Trek. So when I saw, like, the Mystic at the beginning of Season 2, the Shaman or whatever, that was, like, eye-rolling already. And with Riz, when she was going in to, like, get checked or something like that, and then he just started, like touching one of her scars or whatever, and she just started crying, and the music, I was like, what the is going on? Like, what? Like, stop! Paramount, you don't have Star Wars. I'm sorry. You can't legally use the Force. I'm sorry. Stop trying.
Set start.
Yeah, those were my thoughts about that scene. And any scene that involves a human who's like, you just need to have faith. It's just like, stop it. Stop it. Like, religion exists in the Halo universe, but it's not like that. Like, that is a cartoon. That's like Covenant. That's the stuff the Covenant do, okay? Not like humanity. Unrelated, but I love your Spartan. Thank you. I'm not sold on my Spartan yet, because the generic thing to do is just make him the Halo Wars 2 Spartan, or the Halo Wars Spartan, but I don't want to do exactly that, so I'm still tinkering. I don't see why it doesn't fit in Star Trek. It's... Star Trek isn't a fantasy show. It's not a show about faith and, like, the power of belief and stuff. It's a science fiction show. Keyword on the science part. And kind of like exploration of outer space and outer space phenomena. It's not about, like, you know, whatever Star Trek Discovery was about. When Madrigal glassing was passively mentioned... Yeah, I know, right? Like, they just, like, casually mentioned it. I was like, wow, they mean business. When they... That was, like, the first good sign for me, was when they just casually mentioned Madrigal being glassed, or when literally the first scene was them waking Chief back up and taking Cortana out of his brain. I was like, wow, they're undoing Season 1. You want a bit of religion in your UNSC? Look at Dutch. Yeah, that's the stuff that is a little bit more believable, because that feels like not specifically Dutch's religion, but, like, yeah, it totally makes sense that people within the Halo universe still have religion. Like, it's not going to be going anywhere, and especially not in 500 years. But humans aren't, like, look into my crystal ball, Spartan, as I walk into lava. I see your future. I know how you will die. Like, that's not... No, that's not Halo. I'm sorry, Paramount. You don't have Star Wars. I feel like the themes of faith weave pretty well into Halo. The most famous ad for Halo is literally believe. Yeah, but it's not like a shaman with like mystical symbols and like a goofy costume telling Master Chief, I have seen your future, I know how you will die. You know? It's the standard belief, like believing that humanity can overcome this, not like what is your faith. Like in Halo, what's kind of interesting is that the human race, for the most part, they are a lot more grounded and a lot more kind of like living in the, I don't want to say real world, you know, because that's disrespectful of other people's beliefs, but like, you understand what I mean, right? Like they have, humanity is a lot more kind of like science and military focused in the Halo universe for the most part. Not to say that they don't have religions, but that's kind of like the core identity of the human race. The Covenant, they are the ones that are overtly religious, and a lot of their stories are about faith and belief because of their religious nature. And it's interesting to see the way that the two different factions approach the topic of the Forerunners. The humans approach them from a science perspective, you know, these ancient aliens, where the Covenant approach them from a faith and religious perspective, them being gods. And so getting the wires mixed up because Paramount just really wants Jedi in all of their projects, when they literally have the Covenant right there. They have prophets that could be talking like this. It just feels kind of like, you know, a lot of like their Star Trek Discovery stuff. Yeah, they sent a Sith assassin after Quan Ha in Season 1. They legally couldn't use a lightsaber, so they had to use a katana. You know, 500 years in the future, running around using a katana to cut off people's heads. Yeah, that's the dumb stuff that I don't like. And thankfully, in Season 2 so far, outside of the shaman at the beginning of Season 1, or the shaman at the beginning of the first episode, and then the weird, like, therapy thing, like, there has been very minimal of that, like, Paramount Plus nonsense. And thankfully, there has been no Sith assassins running around with katanas so far. You know, and it's really bizarre because they're not exploring the religious aspect of the Covenant at all so far. That is one thing that is really odd for me, is they will not touch the religious aspects of the Covenant and the prophets and stuff. They kind of, I don't know. You know, it's like they're after the Halo rings, but like, why are they at war with humanity? I'm still not quite sure. Because the Halo show, for some reason, doesn't want to really explore that fanatical kind of like pointless hatred that the Covenant have of the human race, which is fueled by religious oppression. You know, the prophets, it is almost, you know, cult-like, where the prophets just tell everybody, oh yeah, the human race, like, they are a sin to our religion. And nobody can ask questions, because why would you question the prophets? That's a sin to our religion. But because the Paramount show won't explore that, I still don't quite know why humanity is at war with the Covenant in the Halo show. You know, or why the Covenant have, like, prophets, I guess? That's the stuff that's unfortunately frustratingly vague. To be fair, Combat Evolved didn't explain it either. Combat Evolved didn't, but also Combat Evolved was like a video game in 2001. So it's like Combat Evolved gets a pass because Combat Evolved wasn't really trying to be a story-driven game. It was a lot more about, like, kind of like the gameplay and the world that you physically run around in. That's not to say that there wasn't a story, but the story was more so an excuse for you to be put into interesting situations and locations. The story really started to become front and center in Halo 2.
Hill control.
Evolution of the rocket launcher? Evolution of the rocket launcher could be fun. I'd have to figure out a way to make it fun for me to edit. Just because, like, the rocket launcher, for the most part, is not... It's not the most interesting topic in the world just because, you know, it hasn't changed that much from game to game. Wait, the AI what? What are we talking about? Ackerson is probably your favorite character from the Halo TV show. Yeah, Ackerson is really good so far. I actually really like Ackerson. Oh, okay. We're complaining about the Covenant. We're complaining about Pablo Schreiber, or, well, not Pablo Schreiber, Quan Ha and, like, Shamans, like, some of the stuff that I don't like. Let's talk about the stuff that I do like, actually, a lot about Season 2. So, I liked that immediately, they got everybody working together a little bit more. So, all the Spartans now, they got rid of the emotion chip idea. So all the Spartans now, they have their emotions, and they can just do that now, you know? So because of that, Vanek has a lot more personality than before, and it's funny. He feels like a Bungie-era Halo character. Like, Vanek is pretty awesome. I also like Riz. Riz is good. So before Silver Team, I think the best character in Silver Team was easily Kai. Now it's been rounded out to where they're all pretty good. I like them all. It's kind of like a pity that they're not canon characters. And it also helps a lot now that the show isn't, like, kind of trying to force drama in its cast, like Season 1 did, where it was just kind of like everybody was arguing and bickering with each other. Now everybody mostly gets along pretty well. Things are done and stuff, and a lot of the problems come from Ackerson, who is an outside force. And so it does make the show feel like a little bit more like there is an antagonist now, and it's not just like everybody bickering with each other. You know, so it's like, if Ackerson can be dealt with, I have full confidence that Pablo Schreiber will be able to get a lot of stuff done and save Reach. He won't save Reach, because there is no Halo universe where Reach survives, but you know what I mean, right? I believe in Master Chief now, and because Ackerson is getting in Chief's way, it makes me really hate Ackerson. And it's good. It's working for me. I genuinely think Silver Team might be the best looking team of Spartans we've ever gotten. Costume department went crazy hard. Yeah, the costumes for Silver Team are fantastic. Pablo Schreiber's Master Chief costume, it still needs some work, I think. He looks very silly, I think, still in that Master Chief costume, just because Pablo Schreiber, he's bow-legged. Bow-legged meaning his legs aren't straight lines. They kind of curve a little bit. So, it makes him kind of look like that goofy Combat Evolved Anniversary render that the community memes on. You know the one I'm probably talking about, right? It doesn't help also that he has a very long torso. So, like, the proportions on his costume don't feel like they were perfectly molded for him as an actor. It feels kind of like somebody cheaped out a little bit, / maybe the costume was in production before he was even officially cast. But I do wish that they would have another go at making a Master Chief costume for him. Maybe one that, like, flatters his body type a little bit more. But everybody else on Silver Team looks fantastic. Yeah, and Silver Team is really great. I really wish that they were canon. I like the propaganda video of the medal ceremony where Oni added in pelicans and marines for the general public. Yeah. It's just good stuff, man. Like, there's a lot of, like, very, very... It's like the small things as a Halo fan that you appreciate and you notice that Season 1 kind of lacked. You know, that's why it's... I just can't agree when people are like, same trash as Season 1. It's like, no, there is a lot here to like as a Halo fan. And unfortunately, the stuff that doesn't work is the holdover stuff from Season 1 for me. I'm still mad that they showed his face. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm him, bro. Master Chief's face I don't think should have ever been shown. You know, and people are like, well, what's Pablo Schreiber gonna do? Walk around the whole show constantly in his armor? No, it's more like, don't write scenes where he needs to be out of his armor, or at least film it in creative ways to hide his face. But what I think that they're doing for Season 2 to kind of minimize, I guess, the damage of showing his face is that they're filming him in a way that makes him a lot more monster-like. Because he does... Oh, TechPon wants to join me. Yeah, come on, TechPon. Oof. Come on, Isaiah, get in here, buddy. So, like, Rebecca pointed out that they film Pablo Schreiber in a way that there's constantly a focus on, like, all the scars that are on his body, like the surgical scars from the Spartan augmentation. And Pablo also worked out quite a lot. And so they're constantly showing off how unusually large his muscles are. And when he's just like sitting in there with Ackerson, Pablo Schreiber, he's got like bags under his eyes. He's got these like surgical scars, and he's like sitting in the chair really weird and uncomfortably. Like he looks like a Frankenstein monster. In every scene where he's out of his suit, he doesn't look like a normal person, you know? He looks like somebody who's sick or who's been patched together. So I said in my video yesterday that it makes the presence of the Spartan program follow him even when he's outside of the suit, which I think is a lot better than how Season 1 handled it, where he just takes off his suit and, like, walks around like a normal guy. Like, you could see Pablo Schreiber in Season 1 going and getting a cup of coffee and, like, reading a book, you know? Where I couldn't do that with Season 2. Hey, LNG, I recall a past Halo Infinite stream where you shut off your sound settings to get it closer to how the older Halo sound. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here, if you guys are curious... Oh, boy. Okay, hang on. Oh, I'll ask a controversial question, LOL. Is there really a need to keep his face hidden in a different medium once you leave the video games? His face is described in the books. We see him younger, etc. Well, the problem with Halo is, like, Halo is kind of like a very disorganized franchise. Like, it's great, okay? Don't get me wrong. It is just kind of disorganized, so some portrayals are a lot better than others at kind of like following Halo traditions. And because of that disorganized nature, there have been some forms of media where you just straight up see young Master Chief's face. For the books, I'm okay, because book is written. You know, it's up to your imagination, and everybody's going to have a different interpretation of what they read. What I usually disagree with is visually showing what he looks like, including when he's a kid. Maybe when he's a baby, it's okay, but like when he's like sentient, there's like that Halo 4 commercial where he's like playing with a toy by the beach, and that's like it's fine because, you know, it's at that age where kids still kind of look like E.T. But that's skirting the line where it's like I kind of get an idea of what he looks like as an adult by looking at that kid. That's just for me. I feel like Halo 1 unintentionally made it a gag that you never see his face, and that's a gag that I think the series should have kept going. and would have added, you know, value to the brand. That it's just like this cultural thing that nobody knows definitively what Chief looks like. So is it a problem that you can see his face? No, it's not a problem. It's just that there would have been a lot more cultural value if you never knew what he looked like under that helmet. Perhaps hot take, but the show makes me happy and I'm proud that Halo is getting more attention. It was on the homepage of Amazon yesterday and I felt so proud of the Chief. Yeah, Rebecca's take on the Halo show is one that I actually really appreciate because it's so different from, like, you know, the angry Halo community. Rebecca's just happy that, like, Halo is getting exposure, that, like, Halo has a television show, that, like, people who think that video games are Nintendo, like, that they're now watching Halo, and they know who the Master Chief is, even if they've never touched an Xbox controller. Like, she's just happy that Halo is being exposed to people, and that the Master Chief is now becoming a name that more people know. And I agree with her. It is cool, and it is fun. And for the people that are not Halo fans, that are like, I really liked Season 1, I'm very excited, like, just let them be, okay? Let them be, because Season 2 so far is improving things, and Season 2 is starting to feel a little bit more like the games. Like, just let people like Halo, I guess. Like, let's keep the arguing within the Halo community, and still celebrate the fact that, like, Halo is getting a lot of exposure because of the show.
Your team scored.
Yeah, Rebecca's sister, she is a creative director somewhere. I'll be vague, but she is just not. She doesn't know what video games are. Like, she doesn't know what Call of Duty is. And she was like, so what's, like, Halo about? I saw it on the homepage. Isn't that the thing that Taras does? And it's like, that's cool. People are seeing Halo.
Double kill. Triple kill.
You know, and regardless of how we feel about the Halo show, that's at least exciting, right?
Demon. Double kill. Hill control.
Oops. There's my little fusion coil.
Reinforcements.
It didn't become a gag per se till people realized what they were doing by not showing his face well after the game release. Bungie had a reason, and I don't think it was a gag, I think it was a choice. Oh, it was a choice, and it was also a joke to not show his face. You know, like the camera just going out of reach as he takes off his helmet, like teasing you that, no, you're not going to see his face. And then for Halo 2, they continue it by still not showing his face, you know? I do agree that it's getting more exposure. I'm just afraid that people who are new to the Halo series think that's how the stories are. If they like it, what's the damage, you know? If they do end up liking the show, then what's the harm, I guess? Are my thoughts. It's like, so I saw that, like, that Halo series. It's kind of interesting. And it's like, but it's not game accurate. It, like, kind of makes you look like the crazy person. And that might actually turn people off from Halo. Because it's like, the fans are, like, weird. I don't know. I like the show. Yeah, that's at least the approach I'm taking. It's just a streaming service show, you know? Obviously, it's not high-quality art or anything. But as a Halo fan, I am entertained by Season 2 so far. I like the characters, I like the direction it's going in, and there's enough there for me to enjoy. Have you thought of doing a Jackal's Evolution video? Not only have I thought about doing it, I am in the process of writing it. And it seems so far that, like, the show is getting to the point where they're basically gonna line up with how the games turned out. Because their Master Chief says, like, he's like, comms relay went down at, fuck, what's it called? Visegrad? Was that it? He's talking about the farmstead at the beginning of Halo Reach that you investigate as Noble Team. And he's like, I think the Covenant might be on Reach. And it's just like, we're really doing it, aren't we? And so, you know the elite general guy who's leading the army on Reach? I'm fairly certain that that is the Arbiter. I think that's probably the armor for the Arbiter, or the Halo series' version of that. And people are probably going to be mad, you know, that they're like, but that can't be. I think what they're probably going to do is, like, for the show, the Arbiter is going to be, like, a rank of Covenant, like a Covenant leader amongst the elites. A specific Covenant with a lot of power. And that's how they can get the name Arbiter in there without also going through a whole CGI-driven, hyper-expensive season exploring, like, the canon version of the Arbiter. I don't know, but now people are going to know what an Arbiter is. They're going to know it's going to be an elite with really cool-looking armor and stuff, and it's just like, that's cool. People are going to be introduced to an Arbiter now.
Hill control.
Yeah, Visegrad, that's what it was called.
Reinforcements.
Yeah, the Visegrad relay. You were jumping and giggling when the Reach stuff happened, LOL. Yeah, because it was just like, they were in the hallway, and they were being attacked by the elite with the energy sword in the darkness, and it looked almost exactly like the hallway from Reach, you know, where the down out, down out, down out music plays. And Chief is like, comms relay, or the Visegrad comms relay went down. The Covenant might be on Reach. And I'm like, that's how Halo Reach started, the game. Not word for word, but basically those words. Oh my god, they're doing the fall of Reach. If we don't see Noble Team, I swear to God. We probably won't see Noble Team. Because I feel like Noble Team, they're too big of a name to just throw away. And so the fact that there hasn't been a cast listing for Noble Team means, okay, we probably won't see Noble Team. They have, like, what are they called? What are they? Castle Team? Not Castle Team. No, those are the guys from Spartan. What are they called? The team of Spartans that went missing in this show. Like, I think what they're probably going to do is they're going to substitute Noble Team for Silver Team, and rather than them all dying, they're all going to survive and make it off of Reach. And then I predict Season 3 will probably be a soft retelling of Halo Combat Evolved. Cobalt Team, that was the name of them. I knew it started with a C. I say, if you don't have a budget for the show, just don't. Get the budget and work on it. Hang on, let me try that. Let me read that again. Sorry, I say, if you don't have a budget for the show, just don't. Just don't get the budget and work on it? Or, like, just don't, as in, like, don't even make the show, try to get the budget and work on it? Unfortunately, that's not how big budget shows work, you know? It's not like, hey, I need the budget so I can have an entire season's worth of, like... I basically need an entire CGI 40 to 50 minute episode about the Arbiter, and it's like, we don't have the money for that. And it's like, well, I'm not going to make it then. It's like, okay, fine, we're going to get someone who will. You're fired. Imminent Fates says, how would you handle Blamite mines in the show? Blamite mines. Blamite mines could be a lot of fun in the show. I guess I'd handle them kind of like, well, I guess kind of like a coal mine, you know, have like your carts, have your miners and stuff, your drilling equipment and stuff, and probably at least the way that I would handle it is everybody in, so if you guys don't know what blamite is, it's the name of the crystal that needler ammo is based on. It's very volatile and explosive, especially when it comes into contact with organic tissue. Which is the lore reason why the needler explodes when you put enough rounds into an enemy Spartan. And the way that I would handle the blamite mines is because it's so volatile and stuff, everybody has, like, basically bomb vests on them, like, just in case they get through the rock and there's, you know, crystals there. And then the crystals explode and go off. Oh, you were thinking of, like, mines, like land mines, not like a salt mine.
Your team about to score.
I ain't seen it yet. Is Cobalt Team good? Cobalt Team is so far a mystery. They're combining like a bunch of different ideas so far, and it is kind of interesting. So they're sort of merging the story of Onyx with the story of the Fall of Reach. So the idea is, like, there's a part of Reach that Ackerson is using for, like, testing purposes and stuff. And it's like, it's classified, you can't go over there. And everybody he sends over there doesn't return. And Master Chief is, like, starting to get really pissed off and fed up. He's like, where is Cobalt Team? Because they were the last Spartan team to be sent there. And they just never returned. And that's why he's like, I think the Covenant is on Reach, and Ackerson, like, isn't telling us. You know, which in the book, Ghosts of Onyx, it was the exact same issue where it was like a planet with Spartans and like UNSC training stuff, and there's a classified part of the planet nobody's allowed in, and anyone who goes in there goes missing. Only in that book, it was a gigantic Forerunner hole in the ground that revealed the fact that the entire planet was fake. It was a gigantic Forerunner creation with, like, rock, basically, and dirt growing on top of it. You know, and so everybody who went over there, they were killed by the Forerunner constructs, like defense mechanisms.
Triple kill. Hill ready. Hill control.
What do you think they're going to do with Ghosts of Onyx? Well, with the SPI wearing Spartan 3s. I think what's going on with... So, if you guys watched the trailer for Halo Season 2, there's a shot, it almost looked like Emperor Palpatine, like the Clone Wars, you know, where he's looking at all of the clone troopers in their white armor, only in this case it was like... It was a whole army of Spartans all wearing the same suit of armor, the SPI armor, and they were all white. I think what's going to happen is Ackerson is... Because Ackerson is also, like, gaslighting Chief. He's like, are you sure you didn't get hit in the head, Master Chief? And I'm fairly certain what he's doing is he's trying to set up Halsey's version of the Spartans as a failure. And he's like, let me have a stab at it. And he's going to create the Spartan 3s. And that's what we saw in the trailer, which is all those Spartans wearing the exact same suit of armor. That's what I think is going to happen, at least. That's what I think they're setting up. Ghosts of Onyx was amazing. Ghosts of Onyx was such a good book, man. Such a good book.
Nearing victory.
They're in the hole. Put a rug over it. Yeah, listen, in Ghosts of Onyx, that was ultimately the solution. Look, you got a giant hole in the ground exposing the fact that the planet is actually like a hollow Forerunner thing, and Sentinels are coming out of it and killing everybody. Easy solution, guys. Just put a rug over the hole. Okay, Bassus got me. And Fall of Reach happens in Spartan 3s or a success, I guess so. Read it to me, says Rebecca. I would love to read to you Halo books, babe. I'd love that. Maybe I should read you the Fall of Reach. Oh yeah, Frozen Fire says, soft inside! It looks like in the trailer, Kai takes Kurt's place. Really? Oh my god. Okay, babe, if they are doing a... Oh my god. Okay. Kai is being set up then for a pretty badass character story then.
Your team scored.
Yeah, I don't know. So far, like, the Halo show, Season 1 was a little bit confusing. Season 2, so far, I see what they're doing, and they're loosely adapting and, like, paraphrasing certain parts of the Halo universe, and it's going well. I just got here. What did I miss? Currently, we're talking about where we think the Halo show is going. And the consensus right now, well, I say consensus, it's just my opinion, is that they are combining and merging the Fall of Reach with the Ghost of Onyx story. Did we fix the show yet? To be honest, there's not a lot that needs fixing with the show. The only thing that is like a big kind of like problem that they need to fix because it actively devalues the show is they need to get rid of Maki. Like, that's not a good idea, and it needs to go away. Late Night Gaming, what do you think of the Halo 2 Anniversary Assault Rifle sounds? To be honest, I don't like them too much. I think that they're mixed weirdly in the Halo 4 engine. Something about them sounds bugged. Like, they don't play at the same fire rate as the weapon itself, so they will cut themselves off rather awkwardly. The reloading sound isn't mixed well, so it's louder than it is meant to be, and it also sounds like it's weirdly compressed as well. Like the sound assets for it sound very sloppy and kind of all over the place. I don't know. I don't like the Halo 2 Anniversary Assault Rifle too much. It is the Halo 4 model, but the Halo 4 version of the Assault Rifle had a lot more polish in its sound design and animations and stuff.
Hill incoming.
I got a question. I've been playing Halo Infinite a lot, and I totally don't know. Do brutes throw grunts at you, or did they cut that out? Because personally, I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen them do that in Firefight. I have seen them do that plenty of times in the campaign.
Hill control.
Especially when you're playing on the higher difficulties. Is there a skull in the campaign that increases the health of enemies? Maybe not. Because I do notice in the campaign this is going to sound really bizarre, me just saying this. It is a problem, I think, in the campaign, at least for me, which is you kill enemies way too fast in the campaign. And because of that, there isn't a lot of time for them to do anything interesting. Because for the most part, like, your weapons have such range and such power that when you see an enemy, you can kill it within a couple of seconds. Where in classic Halo, there's usually a little bit more room for, like, goofing off, running around, you know, doing some interesting stuff as the AI run around. And so if you play the Halo campaign on, like, the Halo Infinite campaign on, like, heroic or harder, and limit yourself to weapons that aren't great at range, kind of like, that aren't great at range, kind of like plasma pistol, battle rifle, not battle rifle, sorry, assault rifle, disruptor, stuff like that. You will notice the AI doing more interesting things just because they're alive for a lot longer. Like, generally, avoid the commando, avoid the battle rifle, avoid, you know, stalker rifle, sniper, and stuff like that. Oh boy. Yeah, the Mythic Skull. Thunderstorm Skull also works. I'm still here. What's the out of 10 rating so far for Season 2 for you? Personally, I still hate it. I'm not going to say out of 10, because I think that's unfair. Like, nothing is a flawless 10 out of 10, because that's more of like an ideal to strive for. That's not something that's like realistic. You can't be flawless. What I will do is I will grade it like a school project. So far, it's getting a B from me, B minus. And my teacher's notes on what can be improved, basically it's, I see that you're doing something original with Halo. Fairly good so far. Massive improvement from the last season. I am interested in the direction you're taking it. Some things that you should probably think about editing are get Maki out of there. That's not good for your story. I would explore the Covenant a little bit more. I would stop with the crime syndicate stuff, because it continues to just not be interesting, so exploring it more in depth doesn't make it more interesting. It just means I have to spend more time with the story I don't even like in the first place. So yeah, get rid of Maki, stop doing the crime syndicate stuff, and begin exploring the UNSC's war with the Covenant, like both sides of it. But so far, B minus.
Reinforcements.
Yeah. Makes not being perfect not bad, and it's fine-tuned. Makes not being perfect not bad. For like a 10 out of 10 rating and stuff like that. Yeah, generally the 10 out of 10 rating system, I don't really like that. Just because I think it's not like, you know, it doesn't really promote healthy discussion. Because it's also like, if you think about like video games in that sense, like would you play a 5 out of 10 video game? Probably not, right? Would you play a video game that got a solid C? Or maybe a C+? I'd be more willing to check out a game like that and be more forgiving of it if I knew that it was like a C+. Yeah, when you think about like video game scoring in that way, I feel like that's a lot healthier for discussion, and it gives even those games that aren't like brilliant a chance, you know, because you're giving it a chance. You're like, yeah, this is definitely like a C+ game. You can see where they can improve.
Double kill. Triple kill. Kill-tacular. 5 enemies remaining.
But wouldn't an A+ also be perfect? No, an A+ wouldn't. An A+ isn't perfection. An A+ is just how well you think that they achieved their goal.
Your team scored.
You know? Like an A+ paper isn't being like flawless. Flawless. It is the best piece of literature or the best project somebody has ever made. It just means like you nailed it. You nailed your goal. Very proud of you.
Set start. Hill incoming.
You did exactly what was promised. Favorite Halo TV / movie / anime adaptation? Definitely, I think the best like movie type of thing is probably Forward Unto Dawn. That was a fantastic story. As far as anime, I've got to re-watch Halo Legends with Rebecca, because it's been ages. What were some of the things in the show that need to be improved? They need to get rid of Maki, because I do think Maki devalues the show and devalues the conflict with humanity from the Covenant. they need to explore more about why the Covenant are at war with the human race, because that's still very vague. And they also need to quickly wrap up the crime syndicate stuff, because it's not that interesting. It detracts from the stronger elements of the show now that the show is starting to find its footing, which is like, you know, the UNSC, the war with the Covenant, and that, as well as like the Ackerson and Oni stuff. That stuff is all the strongest elements of the show. I'd rather play a game that's like a 78 out of 10 than a C+ game. That's fair. Do you think Halo could fit into different genres like Star Wars can, or is it just one specific thing? Once upon a time, I think Halo could have. Like, I think ODST started to tap into some interesting aspects of the Halo universe, but I think right now where Halo is, Halo needs to get itself kind of like out of its rut that it's kind of stuck in. And I do think it's like a marketing thing, which is the focus on Spartans, and to the detriment of the rest of the universe, or the rest of the Halo universe. It's basically Spartans, Forerunners, aliens. And that's sort of it. So, can Halo be different genres? Sure. Will Halo be different genres? I'm not so sure just right now, because Microsoft kind of wants Halo to be a series about Spartans. I do think Halo could make for a freaking awesome cyberpunk story. All you need to do is have a planet that is very cyberpunky in theme, you know, run by corporations. Oni is on the planet doing weird stuff. Have a lonely journalist who's seeking the truth. You don't really need the Covenant or anything. What's up? You doing open lobbies? Actually just doing matchmaking right now. It's always been my opinion that a Band of Brothers style ODST show would have been a better avenue than a Master Chief TV show. Probably. That probably would have been interesting to do. I feel like that would probably be a solid spin-off show, conceptually, if they were to do something like that. Because for the most part, so here's what I think is actually kind of okay now about the Halo show. If the Halo show, like, listen, with these streaming services, we're never going to know the truth, you know, because, like, these services, they don't want to, like, tell you how much money they're losing or making truthfully. They just want to be talking about, like, oh my god, our subscribership went up so much after we debuted this show. But if it is viable that they can start branching Halo off into different, like giving Halo a spin-off series, kind of like how their Star Trek shows got their own spin-offs and stuff. Well, now general audiences on Paramount Plus have been introduced to the Halo universe. They know what Spartans are, they know what the Covenant are, and the Master Chief. And they also now know that there are people within the UNSC that want independence from the UNSC. What they can now do is have a spin-off show about ODSTs that don't focus on Spartans. Because the Halo show acts as a kind of like, here is the general idea of the Halo universe. You've got these aliens called the Covenant, you got Spartans, yeah, go nuts.
Double kill. Triple kill. Double kill.
You just got a 20-second unstoppable ad? Dude. Are you describing the audio series Hunt the Truth? Oh man, Hunt the Truth. I forgot about Hunt the Truth. Hunt the Truth is a great audio series. it's a pity that nothing in it
Your team about to
really, I guess, like,
score.
mattered. Like, in the context of Halo 5.
Double kill.
How do you think the Battle of Alpha Halo will be handled in the show? Weirdly enough, I imagine that the Halo ring will be fairly easy to do for the show. And that's because a Halo ring is a lot of woods, a lot of forests, and a lot of being just outside, you know? So it's like outside is its own prop. What would probably be a little bit more tricky, well, maybe not tricky, I think they could easily do it with like CGI or stuff, but I'm thinking of like the Forerunner interiors,
Your team score.
and probably the CGI of the Covenant, and also figuring out a way to make it like, to make it not tedious and repetitive, I guess, for the viewer. Like, I could imagine like these people that love their streaming services and they love shows that go on forever and they have like 1,000 different plot lines going on, them getting pretty bored if every single character is on the Halo ring all doing the exact same thing. So it's probably got to bounce around a lot. What I assume is what they might do if I were in the position of the director or something, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm in charge now of the Halo show. I've got to kind of follow the direction that the Halo show is going in, and also keep in mind the needs of like those people that are just addicted to streaming service type shows. So we got to have plot threads bouncing around. We got to have multiple locations. Here's what's going to happen. Here's my streaming service optimized version of the battle for Alpha Halo. Master Chief and the Arbiter, who is leading the Covenant, they discover Halo after Reach falls. Master Chief is maybe he has something that the Arbiter needs, or something like that. They land on the Halo ring, and then the Halo ring's defense systems kick in, and the Halo ring basically gets enveloped in a shield that destroys anybody who approaches. So the UNSC, they're like, you can picture like Parangoski, like, are you telling me the Master Chief is on that ring? And it's like, yes, ma'am, and we can't get to him. There's a shield in the way. That's why we have to wait a whole season, and he can't leave that ring. And then you've got, like, the Arbiter, you know, who's trying to contact the Covenant. He's like, I'm on the surface of the Holy Ring. What do I do? And you can probably have the Arbiter just kind of, like, wandering around, exploring the ring, exploring more about... What I would probably do is I'd have the Arbiter probably interacting the most with the Oracle. Like, you know, the monitor of installation 04. And that's how you can kind of, like, speed up the Arbiter's discovery that the Covenant religion is based on a lie, because he spends the whole season talking with this monitor that is kind of showing him the ring. And you can just have Master Chief basically doing whatever with his MacGuffin and trying to figure out a way to get off the ring and possibly destroy it so that the Covenant can't use it as a weapon. And then, if I am given the green light, I will have the Flood release. But I am not sure if they're going to go down that route, just because even, like, 343 seems to be very, very, very resistant to using the Flood. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. So if I were to make a streaming service optimized version of Halo 1's story, being built off of what is currently happening in the Halo show, and I can't change it, I can't diverge from it, it has to kind of, like, stay the path. That's what I would do. So basically, the Arbiter is the heretic. Yeah, basically, I'm abridging and combining a bunch of things so that I can hyper-condense a bunch of Halo stories into one thing that requires less characters and less background and lore. Why are 343 resistant to the Flood? It's a mixture of the rated T for teen rating, and from the developer's point of view, a lack of interest from what I've heard in, like, zombies. Basically, like, not feeling like zombies make for the most entertaining combat, which the Flood aren't zombies. I don't think they're zombies. But I feel like the Forerunner architecture wouldn't be too costly because of how minimalistic it is. Yeah, the minimalism of the Forerunner architecture is why I think having a season set on Alpha Halo will not be a problem. They will, though, for the sake of like my streaming service optimized Season 3, I think that what are some of the B plots gonna... Come on, guys, work with me, okay? Even if you don't like the Halo show and you don't like the idea of the Halo show, like, work with me, okay? We have to stay the course. Take what I just established. Master Chief and the Arbiter are stuck on the Halo ring. Guilty Spark is with the Arbiter teaching him about what the Halo ring is. Master Chief's trying to do something. I don't know yet. I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm making it up as I go along. What is the B plot outside of the ring so that we can have an excuse to bounce around to multiple locations? Is there going to be something going on, well, I guess Reach will be gone at this point, right? It'll be glassed. Are we also going to tell the invasion of Earth at the same time? Is that going to be the B plot? Is Master Chief is on the Halo ring with the Arbiter, cut to Earth, and you've got Parangoski, Miranda Keyes, Lord Hood, and Captain Keyes trying to defend the planet from a Covenant invasion. Is that what the B plot is going to be? Halsey is going to join the shamans. Remember? Is she? Wait, what? Is it a joke? From the trailer? Oh no, you're right. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I was gonna assume the B plot was on the ring, like having native humans on Halo. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think that that's the kind of stuff that is, like, too weird, I guess, for general audiences. Gosh, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, they had Halsey in the red hood, didn't they? I'm gonna go in with an open mind, okay? I won't be upset. I won't be, like, angry and fussy like a little child. I see some people saying the Flood. Keep in mind that we're operating with a show budget, so we can't do anything crazy, okay? And we've also got to think about, like, the people who have very short attention spans that are addicted to streaming services and want their shows to have 1,000 B plots going on and interpersonal character drama. So this B plot has to be cost effective, which means probably, you know, human actors. And if there is an alien, the alien has to be over an intercom. Yes. Or the alien can be like a monitor, which could easily be done as a prop, you know? Which is why I was thinking you can have Covenant invasion of Earth. That way you can have shots of a battle happening that are fully CGI, and then you cut to a war room where people are arguing, and that's like your low-budget set, like people running around being stressed in a war room. Chief and Flood Beach episode. Rebecca's being silly. The one grunt from Halo Infinite that was on the intercom, well, that was Joe Staten. And after what Microsoft did to him, I don't think he ever wants to voice a grunt again.
Your team scored.
First off, love ya. Long follower of the channel. Here's what we do for our B-plot. A loose adaptation of Ghosts of Onyx. Follow the Spartan 3 program. All right, there we go. That's our loose. So are we going to have... the 2 planets then are going to be Onyx and Alpha Halo. And thank you for the long-time support, man. First strike, but with Spartan 3's going all Suicide Squad. I imagine the Flood would be lots of practical Walking Dead style prosthetics. Well, maybe. Yeah. Though I do wonder if it would just be cheaper to have like a CGI creature. No, they probably could do like Walking Dead style prosthetics and stuff. The thing about the Flood is the Flood aren't like rotting, decomposing corpses. Like the Flood is alive. It's biological, you know? It's just that the Flood, when a Flood cell gets into your body, it corrupts all of your DNA and converts it into Flood DNA. So you become a Flood organism. So Flood are not like zombies. They're not walking corpses. They are, you know, biological creatures. So it wouldn't be very like Walking Dead-like. And if you did do something like that, you'd be at risk of it kind of looking, I don't know, like a person just kind of like running around with skin-colored water balloons taped to them. That would be, or better yet, perfect example of what I'd be worried about if the Flood were a practical effect, given the Halo series' costume design. I'd be worried that it would look like Soren's arm. You know how just so bad the prosthetic for Soren's messed up arm is? It just looks like he has a rubber Hulk glove. That's what I'd be worried about if they did, like, costumes for the Flood. Flood is bugs. Big isopods. Why Flood so smelly? Says Scoot. Oh boy. Because the Flood consumed a lot of fiber. Would the basic infected Flood be much different to the crazy mushroom-infected dudes from The Last of Us? There's probably also conversations about that, to be honest. Because, like, I mean, obviously, yes, you know, there are a lot of differences between the Flood and the zombies from The Last of Us. But would a general audience think that Halo was just ripping off The Last of Us? You know, if they did make them very zombie and prosthetic-like. So I think what they'd probably have to do is they'd have to lean really hard into the, like, the biological horror aspects of the Flood and the kind of, like, creative creature design. So less humanoid and more, like, you get infected with it and it turns you into a gross, like, spider-like thing, or like a big sack full of, like, those little, you know, infectors and stuff like that. Like, they'll probably not focus a lot on humanoid-looking Flood because they don't want to come across like, look, guys, we're like The Last of Us. We have zombies, too. Sorry for stepping away. But yeah, we got to go with Onyx as our secondary setting. I am now inclined to agree with you, but how do we rectify that apparently Onyx might show up in the Halo show? I think Season 6 of Halo Season 2 is called Onyx, if I remember the listing for the episodes right. What could be Arbiter's plot on Alpha Halo? So in my show, Arbiter's plot on Alpha Halo would basically be, okay, what is the MacGuffin going to be that Chief is chasing? Or not that Chief's chasing. You know what? Maybe, okay, the activation index for the Halo ring, how about that's what the keystone is? When you fit the keystone into that bigger thing that Maki found, that is the activation index for Halo. And rather than a thing you put into a Forerunner console like it is in the games, like, that becomes the terminal that you can turn on Halo from when you put the keystone into it. And it needs to be placed in a specific spot on the ring. So, Arbiter will have the big computer console thing, you know, that's what he and Maki found. Master Chief has the keystone. And so, he is pursuing Master Chief because they're fleeing from Reach, and they have the keystone, and Arbiter needs it so he can take it to Alpha Halo and activate the ring. So they all get trapped on the Halo, on the surface of Halo. Arbiter and his forces don't have outside contact. You know, same with the UNSC forces, because like I said, you have that force field, so that, you know, like, Master Chief and Arbiter are isolated from the ring, so you can have, like, little character stories and stuff. And what I think Arbiter's B-plot will be is him trying to kind of, like, find the map. Oh my god, you know what? I just had a bad idea that... I had a bad idea that sounds very likely, the more I entertain it. Okay, so in the shower last night, I told Rebecca I think I might have a theory on how Maki is back, and I really hope this isn't the case, because it's stupid. In the Forerunner trilogy, some people might know already where I'm going with this. In the Forerunner trilogy, we have seen dead people come back. And it's on one of the Halo rings, the characters find a village of dead people, and they're ghosts. And what it turns out is they're not actually ghosts. They are monitors that are shrouding their chassis in a holographic representation of the dead person. What I think might be happening with Maki is that might be the introduction of a monitor. Is it might be kind of like, you know... Oh gosh, I told Rebecca already how the scene would go. It would be like, Master Chief would be like, Maki, and it would be like, John, and then like the hologram would glitch a little bit and you'd see the monitor eye inside of the hologram before it reforms. That might be what happens. That's how they have a monitor in Halo, and they also have a human actor to save on budget, is they'll just have, like, this form means a lot to your religion, doesn't it? I am 343 Guilty Spark, and it's just like Maki and her actress. Oh my god, Mr. Nowhere is here. Hello, Mr. LNG. I hope your stream is doing well. I'm in Florida right now visiting family, but you know I never miss the streams. Mr. Nowhere, it's good to see you, buddy. How is Florida so far? Hopefully you're relaxing, enjoying yourself, having a good time. Did you catch the Halo show, dude? And of course, I appreciate the donation as always. It's good seeing you, man. We're currently talking about the Halo show. Well, if the title of the stream doesn't give it away. Quan was a monitor all along. Ugh. I would love to hear bad but likely ideas. Yeah, okay. I am inserting that into my streaming service optimized retelling of Halo Combat Evolved. That's how we keep Maki in the show, because the people at Paramount really want that character for some reason. Guilty Spark will be following Arbiter around the ring, and Arbiter will just be like, this is a blessed place, and Maki will be like, your species is very confusing. Why do you refer to the installation as a blessed place? And that can be how you can explore, like, the Covenant religion and stuff, is you have Arbiter kind of explaining what the ring is and why the Covenant fight and stuff, and then you can have Maki like, no, this place is a weapon designed to protect. And then, you know, because the Paramount show, it does this a lot, it has moments that are clearly written so that they can put it in the trailer as a voiceover. He'll be like, protect from what? And then it'll zoom in on Maki, and she'll say, the monsters in the dark. And perfect! We can put it in the trailer! That was a great take! Mr. Nowhere. Having a good time. I'm not caught up on the show at the moment. Lots of other shows on my radar right now. Alright, that's fair. What are you watching currently, dude? Surprisingly, Halo Season 2 is off to a pretty decent start. Discussions of how to use people to save on budget just makes me sad we didn't get a Clone Wars style Halo show. Well, the Clone Wars would be even more expensive because that's entirely animated. So that would actually be a way to increase the budget, is if you made it completely cartoon animated. And in my personal opinion, I don't think the Clone Wars is the best way to do Halo, because I don't think that animation style is necessary for Halo. I think an anime adaptation of Halo would actually serve Halo's aesthetic a lot better. So a human actor is cheaper than a light bulb? Sort of. And I can also imagine Paramount would be very scared that general audiences would not be able to connect to a scene where a CGI guy with, like, 4 jaws is talking to a light bulb. They'd probably think, what the fuck am I watching, you know? So they'll be like, you have to make it Maki, her actress. You don't understand. She signed on for 4 seasons. We can't just let her go. That'll be a breach of contract. Make the light bulb Maki. And if that is the irrational demand, that is how I would handle the irrational demand. Oh my god, you could even have Arbiter going through the library rather than Jimmy Rings. You know, and then Maki would just be walking and be like, the door isn't opening. Hold on for one moment, and then she'd like float into the air and then and in a bright beam of light turn into the monitor, and then the monitor ball would, you know, float away into the thing and then come back and the door would open. Or the door would open and it would just be Maki standing there because Guilty Spark was on the other side and already reassumed the holographic form. Yeah. I can see it. I can see it in my head. That would be something the Halo show might do. You know, I'm having fun, like, inventing what the Halo show might do. And you know what the best part is? All of these ideas are very dumb and kind of cringy. Okay, a lot cringy sounding, which means if the Halo show doesn't do them, we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Your team about to
Real kicks says, ugh, I hate how plausible that sounds.
double kill. Nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
Triple kill. Kill-tacular.
Wanted to mention, the Carbine video was good besides one aspect, the flip-flopping between the old type and the modern pattern naming conventions. The flip-flopping between the old type number and then the modern pattern naming. Well, that's what they are called in the lore now. It's like pattern type carbines?
5 enemies remain.
Or do you mean
Enemies remain. Boogeyman.
yeah, that's the primary concern, right?
Your team scored. Weapon drop.
I remember 10 minutes ago when you were trying to make the show better. Yeah. Yeah, now we're just trying to make the show worse. That way, when the next season of the show happens and it is better than the ideas we came up with, we'll be like, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad. Because we know how it could be so much worse. It's gonna get to the point where the showrunners are gonna make a better Halo adaptation than us Halo fans. Oof.
Reinforcements.
John, you must become Halo. Yeah, basically.
Triple kill. Kill. Attack kill.
Now, you know what a plot point I forgot to mention. I forgot. Maybe because like my brain has been trying to just like
Double kill.
keep it out of my head. Man,
Reinforcement.
Master Chief, the Reclaimers, and Maki, and what their importance to the plot is going to be. Because this Halo show is putting a lot of emphasis on the Reclaimers and the Blessed Ones, you know?
Reinforcements.
So what is that going to be? Is it going to be that, like, are they going to do the librarian stuff? I don't believe they're going to do the librarian stuff. Like, all of that, I don't think we're going to see that in the Halo show. What I do wonder is if they're going to be, like,
Triple kill.
I wonder if they're going to have something like... The whole purpose of the Reclaimers is so that they can uplift the human race and spiritually bring back the Forerunners in a weird way.
Reinforcements.
You know, where it's like, all of Forerunner knowledge has been unlocked in your brain. You will be able to uplift the human race. And, like, the Forerunner's knowledge will live on through you. Like, that'll probably be what they do. Like, they probably won't have, like, mantle of responsibility, and, like, that might be a little bit too much war stuff for, like, casual audiences, so they'll probably drop that and just simplify a lot of the Forerunner stuff. You will evolve through combat.
Remaining. 2 enemies remaining. Last enemy.
I am all of the
Your
Forerunners.
team scored.
Yeah, I'm trying. Man, there's so many different things that they could probably do. We could go, like, this ultra stupid direction and start actively making the Halo show in our brains worse. Or we could come up with like, fun ideas that the Halo show could maybe do.
Incoming.
I don't know, man. But where is Soren and his wife, Cruella de Vil, gonna fit into all of this?
Triple kill. Overkill. Kill. Attack kill. Double kill. Triple kill.
Something tells me that this, like... I really hope that this Halo show doesn't, like... You know, it's gonna sound weird, because it is the Halo show, and it's very, like, kind of... You know, Season 1 was not great. Mr. Cheeks, I think, was ultimately more harmful than good. But I do hope that, like, the Halo show doesn't crash and burn with Paramount Plus. Just because it does seem kind of like, now that the COVID streaming boom is done, and now kind of like the reality of the only reason people were streaming so much stuff was because nobody could go to work. And now, like, all of these different streaming services and shows and, like, companies are shutting down left and right. Like, I hope we get more of the show. Bad or good, like, I want more Halo. Because it's stuff to talk about. You think they'd show any other known Spartan? Well, I'm trying to think of other, like, genuinely famous Spartans besides the Master Chief. Because there isn't any. Maybe not even Noble 6. I feel like people remember Emil more than Noble 6, because Noble 6 was your armor. Noble 6 didn't have, like, an iconic armor set. You know, Noble 6 looked like however you wanted Noble 6 to look like. Male, female, ODST helmet or not. I feel like if there was to be another canon Spartan introduced, it would most likely be Emil. Or as my wife said, that's Fope! Just because, like, that skull helmet is pretty damn iconic. And I feel like when a lot of people remember the game Halo Reach, they remember the Spartan with the skull on his helmet.
5 enemies remaining.
They could bring back Nathan Fillion and make him Buck again. I'll be honest, I don't think Buck is as iconic as as a meal. I don't think Buck would be like the seller, and it especially doesn't help that like Nathan Fillion isn't a superstar, you know? Like maybe back in like the early 2000s, but definitely not today. Nobody knows who Nathan Fillion is.
Hill incoming. Double kill. Hill ready. Hill
Fun fact, Kat was one of my first childhood crushes. I would always skip the end cutscene of New Alexandria. Oh, the one where she dies.
reinforcements.
Maybe they'll do Kat. Because I'm trying to think about, like... Yeah, they... Is there a grid in the sky? There's a grid pattern up there in the sky. Is that just like a thing in Firefight? Like, I'm playing on the Xbox Series X. I hope it's showing up on the stream, but look right above defend, that text. The sky has a grid pattern in it. Oh, is that this? Yeah, I don't see it anymore. Oh, that's just the ring. I thought the game was bugging out, the textures. I was like, oh my god, the skybox is falling apart. Okay. Holy moly, mother of God. Okay. I thought the warthog was going to kill me before I could save that guy. Ugh.
Your team about to score.
Yeah, it's just the hill. Oof. Like it or not, Palmer is also famous. No, Palmer is not famous. Nobody outside of Halo fans know who Palmer is. And Vale. And even less than Palmer, Vale. Nobody outside of specifically Halo 5 fans knows who Vale is. So Palmer would be a no, and Vale would be a supreme no, as far as famous, iconic Spartans. And that's not me being mean to Halo 4 or Halo 5, by the way. Because there's people like Thomas Lasky that I'd like to see. But the sad reality is that Thomas Lasky is not, like, iconic. In the same way that Johnson is. We could get Carter. Carter's a little bit... It wouldn't be Carter. I think it would have to be Emil. Because, okay, imagine a Halo Season 3 poster. Who do you think is going to get the most press attention? Carter's helmet or Emil's helmet on a poster for Halo Season 3? I'm putting money on Emil's helmet. She's on the cover of multiple books and games. Who? Palmer? Isn't she only on the cover of the mobile game, Spartan Assault, that the Halo community memes on? And being on the cover of books is hardly famous. I feel like that kind of reinforces my point. And then Vale, her armor being unique. That's more of a subjective thing. For me personally, I think Vale's armor looks incredibly generic. She looks like a Samus knockoff. As I said again, like, Vale and Palmer, they are not iconic in the same way that the Master Chief's armor is, or even by extension, Emil's armor.
Reinforcements.
I still think George is a maybe, but yeah, probably Emil. Yeah, it would have to be Emil. Emil would have to be the one. Because Noble 6 is too vague. Carter is too generic looking. George... George would have to have the chain gun, and you'd have to get somebody who is somehow bigger than Pablo Schreiber, which I don't think is possible. Like, George would be very hard to pull off without looking comical, I think, in live action, which is why they might not do George. Emil, I think, is the safest bet, just because of that iconic helmet he has. I'm just appreciating the focus on Silver Team. It does wonders to see more of the Spartans and their interactions ground the story. Yeah, dude, Silver Team is knocking it out of the park this season. I really like Silver Team. June or too obscure? Yeah, June is also just like June just looks like another Spartan, you know. If you were to show Noble Team to a room full of investors, they're all gonna point their fingers at Emil. Do the guy with the skull for a face. That's what they're gonna say. Palmer is a yes, and her armor, not Vale. Still don't agree about Palmer's armor. If you show Palmer to anybody in the street, nobody's gonna know what that is. They're gonna think it's like, is that like a Chinese mobile game? If you show the Master Chief, they might be like, oh, isn't that the Xbox thing? But as for Vale, yeah, I'm glad that you understand where I'm coming from, which is normies would not recognize Vale. And Vale's armor would also have to be dramatically overhauled to be a little bit more in line with the aesthetic of Halo. Just because Vale comes from the Reclaimer saga, where the armor was a little bit different looking. And at that point, would you just be robbing Vale of what made her armor unique to people who like it? Like, would it have... So, if you've got, like, Vale fans, and you're like, guess what? Vale is coming to the Halo series. And then it's a screenshot of her armor, but it looks like classic Halo, you know? Would that be a win for Vale fans? Probably not. Ugh. The Last of Us didn't need to cater to a wider audience to be a good show. Halo is enough... Well, okay. You want to hear something controversial about The Last of Us? The Last of Us feels like it was made by people who were upset that they couldn't make a show, so they made a video game instead. And now they get to make a show, which is what they wanted to do in the first place. Like, The Last of Us game, it's like the gameplay is easily the most boring part of The Last of Us. It should have just been a show to begin with. So it's no wonder for me that The Last of Us show worked, because it's like, well, yeah, the gameplay is so almost non-existent in The Last of Us that it's no wonder that this very narrative-driven game worked very well as a narrative-driven show. Whereas Halo, that is very much a gameplay-focused game, and that's a lot harder to adapt. And not just that, it's also science fiction, which is even more difficult, because science fiction is not very grounded. You know who else Halo fans didn't even know? Riz, Vanek, and the other one. Well, there's a difference with that, which is the Halo show is not focused on Halo fans. The Halo show is focused on drawing in a viewership from casual people who are not familiar with Halo, and so it is easier to just make new characters. Like, obviously you use some of the iconic ones, like Master Chief and stuff, but outside of that, you handcraft meticulously new characters that are not tied to existing lore, that are kind of designed to work on the big, or, well, I guess the silver screen. Which is why they're called Silver Team, by the way. It's because, you know, that's what you call a TV show. You say it's the silver screen.
Hill control.
Or I guess like a TV, you know? So, yeah, for the Halo show, instead of blue team, he has silver team. Which is like, that's like a cute little Easter egg. Yeah, so Riz and Vanek, they are characters that were designed for the Halo streaming service. You know, fans are already mad enough about the characters that do come from Halo being so different from their game's counterpart. Imagine if it was everybody was from the games. Could have been Fred, Linda, and Kelly, though. Could have. But I also think that Silver Team works enough that I'm not too miffed by the fact that it's not Blue Team. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that Kai is just a very likable character, then I probably would be like, man, I just miss Blue Team. But the fact that, like, Kai was great in Season 1, and it's like, well, if it was Blue Team, then we wouldn't have Kai. And now, Vanek is very funny, and it's like, well, if it was Blue Team, we also wouldn't have Vanek. And, like, Riz is actually kind of interesting, so it's just like, okay, you know what, Silver Team can stay for the show. I gotta go. Have a great night, y'all. Yeah, we'll see you later. Finally, some gaming late at night. That is me. I do game late at night. In fact, later tonight, the wife and I are finally gonna see what that Pow World thing is about. We tested out Pow World. A chicken ran away from us, and then... So, okay, we made, like, a person who was... Their waist was so large that their arms clipped into their waist. And then a chicken rolled off a cliff, and then my wife fell into the water. And then just suddenly died really, really quickly and abruptly. And then the Dark Souls, like, you have died screen popped up on the screen. And we were like, all right, we're downloading this to our computers. Like, Pokemon Company's got nothing to worry about. Rebecca says, I love Halo. And I love you, babe. The thing is, if it was Blue Team to begin with, then you wouldn't miss the characters that never existed. That is true, but I also don't think that Blue Team would have been interesting for the show. Like, maybe that's just me, but I've also never had, like, a strong attachment to Blue Team. Because I always played the games first. So for me, Master Chief is the guy. And Blue Team have always been, like, the partners that are kind of more tailored for book stories. So I don't have, like, the attachment, I guess, to Blue Team that, like, some people have. So I'm okay with stories that feature different Spartans than Blue Team. That's not to say that I don't like Blue Team either, by the way. I'm just, you know, I can take them or leave them.
Set, start. Hill incoming.
I heard about Fred being some kind of crazed war criminal. What? Wait, like... Okay, that's also another reason that I don't think that they did Blue Team, because... Fred? Whose favorite badass super soldier from the future is named Fred? You know, that's a problem already. John is just generic, but kind of cool sounding enough to work. Unfortunately, Fred sounds like an accountant. And then Linda and Kelly sound like people I went to middle school with. So that's probably also like another thing that fuels like the Silver team, is trying to come up with more interesting names.
Hey, it's Fred.
Oh yeah, also Fred was a internet character back in the early 2000s. Frederick Stabby Stabby. You know what? I'll give you that. That would be way more interesting and memorable if his name was Frederick Stabby Stabby, of the long Stabby Stabby lineage. Frederick Fazbarian, the lovable Spartan. Everyone remember Fred? Fred is 100 times better than Master Chief. Yes. In my opinion, the protagonist of Halo should be a guy named Fred. Yeah, that's not me disrespecting Halo, okay? I mean, it probably came out as me disrespecting Halo. It's more of me trying to imagine what a boardroom of, like, executives are thinking, and investors and stuff. Because the unfortunate reality of, like, making a high-budget production is you have people looming over your shoulder and giving you unsolicited advice that is more of an order. Like, you want to know something that's kind of interesting that I learned? And somebody pointed it out. Now, thankfully, people in the Halo subreddit are sharing it around. You know Sean Callery, the guy who composed the score for Halo Season 1? You know, the score that wasn't that good, wasn't that memorable, and annoyingly didn't use Halo music? There is now a clip that someone took of meeting him and, like, at, like, some convention or something, and asking him about the show. And he seems like a very nice guy, and he was like, listen, I didn't play the Halo games, which is okay, you know, that is okay. It's not his fault that he didn't retroactively become the biggest Halo fan. But he was like, I did my research, and Halo has a very interesting musical composition to it. It's a very beautiful and very varied sounding series, and he said that originally he made music that was very much in line with how the game sounded, and Paramount specifically requested that he tone that down and start making different sounding stuff. And that was around the same time that the Marty O'Donnell, Michael Salvatore, and Microsoft music lawsuit was going on. So chances are that guy Sean Callery, he was not allowed to use too many Halo EQs. Because then at the time, Salvatore and Marty O'Donnell could be in court pointing at the Halo show and saying, like, see, they're doing it as we speak. They're using our music and not giving us compensation or credit. So that's probably what happened with that Halo show. And that's the kind of stuff that creatives deal with behind the scenes, is a lot of, like, legal stuff that you'd never even think about, a lot of, like, weird, you know, just internal studio political nonsense. And I mean political in that you've got, like, various ladders of command, and they're all, like, you know, trying to advance their own careers through a project and trying to put their stamp on things, you know. So that's also why I'm not too miffed about some of the creative choices that the Halo show did. Not to say that it's, like, forgivable, because there are some stuff like Maki where I just think that is unbelievably stupid. But then stuff like Silver Team, I'm like, that is probably, you know, a studio oversight thing, you know, a boardroom saying, like, Fred? Nobody's gonna like a character named Fred. What about Vanek? That's a lot more aggressive sounding. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. Liking the Halo show requires meeting it halfway, I guess, and I'm willing to meet it kind of halfway. Ain't Fred the guy from iCarly? Yeah, there's probably, like, an executive who's, like, 800 years old and thinks I Can Has Cheeseburger is still the hottest trend. He's like, isn't Fred the most popular internet guy? We can't have a character named Fred.
about to score.
And hopefully now that, like, the Halo series is seemingly doing well and general audiences are getting the gist of some of Halo's stuff, we could probably start seeing, like, what's going on with Season 2, where they're starting to nudge themselves in the direction of the lore a little bit more. Like, you've probably got a little bit less executive fear of the Halo IP. Are stream notifications on? Think you missed a lot of supers. Oh boy, did I? Let me back up and check. Have Hafthor Bjornsson, the Mountain, portrayed George. Let me see him. Let me see who this man is.
Your team scored.
Icelandic strongman. Oh my God, you. That's him. That's him, Andrew. That's him. That's George. Here, I'm gonna drop this into the chat for all of y'all.
Set, start.
Yeah, guys, I didn't even need to study the image. That is our George for the Halo live action series. Oh, crap, the link is too long. Okay, Google who Andrew just suggested. Yeah. Do you think one of the reasons why Blue Team wasn't used was because fans hated them in Halo 5 a ton? No. No, I think Halo 5's reception had little to zero influence on the direction the show went in.
Double kill. Triple kill.
In fact, I think what is more likely is that the Xbox brand influenced the way that the Halo series went in. Because back when the Halo show that was like Don Matrick in control of Xbox. That was like his era. Remember where he was like, it's called Xbox One because it is all of your entertainment devices in one. Do you want to watch NFL football while you play Forza, like the TV stuff? That's when they announced the Halo show, and that's why Quantum Break was, had a huge focus on TV, and even Quantum Break's TV stuff was dramatically pared down from what it was supposed to be. Like, the Halo show was... I'm trying to remember. I heard a bit about it when it was being planned way back in 2013. Not I heard it in 2013, more like after the fact. I want to say 2017 might be when I heard about what they were thinking of doing. And it was like this vague idea of having the Halo show take place in the Halo universe. And it would be filmed and written in response to how Halo players were playing. Like, it was like it was a little bit too ambitious and depended on a lot of different factors. One of them being like you'd need kind of a game like Destiny more than Halo 5 in order to make this idea work, which is like stuff happens in Halo Xbox One, and then fans have to tune into the show to see what happens, and then they get to go play the content, and the content is based off of what happened in that episode, and it's like real, it's breathing, it's media combined. And it's just like, wow, that all sounds great in like a boardroom meeting, but how the fuck are you gonna do that, I think the wife is going to join us for some Halo.
Your team scored. Catch on. Weapon drop.
We need to get that back. I can ask Cheeseburger. Like, bro, we need to get a grip. What are we doing? We need to bring back I Can Has Cheeseburger. If it tells you, like, the peak of, like, internet comedy for when I was a young child,
Hill incoming.
There is a friend that I had named Johnny. I won't give his last name, but Johnny and I were given access to a computer with internet for about an hour and no parent supervision. and we found a website called dogpoop.com that sold dog poop merchandise. You could buy a keychain with that was shaped like a swirly dog poop, and the website was just kind of like a blank, terrible-looking website layout with like JPEGs of dogs pooping and looking at you on it, and that was so funny that we couldn't breathe. It was bouncing back and forth between icanhascheeseburger.com and dogpoop.com.
Hill control.
Oh, isn't the Didact book coming out this month? Yeah, I think the Didact book is probably coming out this month. Diddy! That's what the wife just called the Didact. Yeah, we're gonna be playing through the Halo games, so when the Didact shows up in Halo 4, I fully expect her to scream, Diddy! Pinnacle of 2000s comedy. Dude, I haven't heard you swear in a while. Yeah, I'm kind of letting it loose a little bit this stream. I'm learning a little bit what the algorithm does and doesn't like. You know, I'm very surprised to find I'm probably the only Halo YouTuber that has never had problems with the Halo soundtrack. Yeah. Yeah, like, I know exactly what songs in the Halo 4 soundtrack are safe to use and what aren't. It all depends on which songs were made internally at 343 and which songs were made by Neil Davidge, who used an external recording studio to do them. Basically, if you go to the Halo 4 soundtrack, any ones that are Kazuma Jinochi, those are fine. You can use those in a video. Any of the ones that are Neil Davidge is mentioned in them, don't touch them. You probably can't use them. What are they talking about? Oh my god, I saw a video called Michael Jackson's Ghost, and it's people in his house or something, and a ghost jump scare appeared. Shit my pants and lost my internet trust. I remember that, but wasn't that like... I vaguely remember Michael Jackson's Ghost being a car on a highway. You know what I'm talking about, right, babe? Where it's the car on the lonely road, and then the face pops up. Do you remember Mike? Short Mike, the leprechaun, we called him? Because he had red hair, which is really mean. But, he showed me that, and I was so scared by it that I fell out of the chair. And he was pre-scared because he was hiding across the room behind his bed.
Oh, gosh.
All right, baby.
You were so mean with the nicknames back then.
Oh, we were awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You.
Give me ghoul. All right. Do Silver Team use Spartan 2 numbers already? Do they use names that were already taken in the main canon? If not, you think that was deliberate to allow Silver Team to maybe show up in the games and books? That's a good question, actually. Does any of the lore aficionados know who are watching, do the serial numbers that, or the Spartan numbers that Silver Team uses, are they taken by characters already in the book? Kazuma Jinochi, I can use the light is green as much as I want. Yes, you can. The light is green to use the light is green.
Jokester, are you?
Jokester. Now, in my opinion, why would you use the light is green when you can use the Warthog Run theme? But that's just me.
Firefight.
Free pet grunts for everyone.
Yay.
Oh, the Potassium Man remembers the video I'm talking about. I'm trying to remember other iconic. Like,
Maze game.
oh, the maze game. Do you guys remember the maze game? For some of you who are too young to have experienced like that era for the internet, there was this awesome. Now listen.
I played that game before my mom.
Yeah. It like
I was so little.
there was this. It was this awful Flash game, and it was called the Maze Game, and it was just like a little maze, and you had to navigate. Was it with keyboard and mouse? What's going on? It feels it. Check your settings. Check your field of view. Settings, video.
It's all the way around.
Yes. Go down, scroll down. Hang on, Rebecca's getting a bit motion sick. You might be just hungry, honey. That might be what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, the maze game, it was like a maze. It was kind of like the controls were really bad, and if you touched the border, it wasn't even a maze. It was just like a hallway that you had to navigate the little ball through, and if you touched the corners, a scary face would jump up and shriek. Yeah, it was like Sadako from The Ring. And the joke was that, because listen, we were all naive. Like, it was there. For some of the people who are younger than me, who were born into the current generation, you guys were born into the internet. You know its tricks and intricacies. We had to learn them the hard way. So it was a fun thing to be like, hey, you should come play this thing called the Maze Game. And then it's, okay. And then you play it and you get scared shitless because you're not expecting a scary, spooky face to jump out at you playing this cute little Flash game. Yeah. Silver Team Spartan tags are brand new, so they can be canon. Interesting. I would very much like Silver Team to be made canon. And I would like them to retcon them into Chief's history. Like, obviously, Blue Team exists, but you can have a bit of, like... The way I'm envisioning it is, like, occasionally Spartans will, for training purposes, be swapped out to different companies. And that's how you can fit Silver Team in a little bit, is they are a Spartan team that Chief ran with for a little bit.
So, like, who gets to say if something is canon or not?
343.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do we know who's like the guy who says
It's a combination of, I think, the franchise, creative director, the writers. It's like a bunch of people, basically, because, you know, everybody has to kind of, like, agree that this is good for the brand when they make a choice.
even if they have like already set
Nightmare.
Yeah. Like, I think the reason that they made the show non-canon was because there was probably, like, a lot of ideas coming from Paramount about what to do, and it was like, this is getting so wild that, like, we have to disconnect it from the core Halo canon. But they did say, after the first season aired, that if there are any ideas that do work, they will incorporate them into the main canon. And what's so bizarre is they said Halsey's private spacecraft is one idea. And it was like, do you remember that? Like, of all the things to be like, you know what did work about Season 1 that should be made canon? Halsey's private spaceship. It was like, what? What? Like, why is that the thing you guys are focusing on?
What's the updated news with Halsey? Like, what is she doing in canon?
Oh, so currently in present day, Halsey is MIA. Yeah, because we're kind of following Chief's perspective at the moment, and Master Chief got stranded on the Halo ring with Fernando. The last time he saw Halsey, she gave him the weapon and told him to go to the ring and kill Cortana with the weapon. So Halsey is currently missing somewhere. She's alive, because she wouldn't be dead. And Halsey in canon, her relationship with Master Chief is a lot more nice and pleasant. It's less, like, psychotic, I guess. Like, Halsey does have a lot of guilt about what she did to the kids. Yeah, she's like a sociopath, kind of. Yeah, and not that sociopaths are bad people. But just she's like a sociopath that indulges rather than tries to overcome some of the aspects about their neurology that, you know, makes it hard for them to function in society. I guess, is that a polite way to say it? Echoing Isaiah Huff, Silver Team's numbers are original, so the capacity for them to appear in main canon should it happen. How'd you like it to do so? Playable character, says Rebecca. She wants to be Kai. Also, it sucks that they got rid of Kai's pink hair. That the... Yeah. Well, remember, it was gun oil. Or it was her gun grease. Yeah, remember her gun grease was acidic, and she used it to, like, burn her hair pink. Like, it was a chemical burn that made her hair pink. So she was, like, not only is she a girly that wanted pink hair, she's also a super soldier that understands chemistry, which is a good survival skill. So she used survival skills to create hair dye. That's how cool Kai is. I hope that her pink hair comes back. And then maybe she'll do it for Riz, too.
Your team about to score.
Oh boy. God, the famous hill. Alright, we killed the boss.
Remaining. 2 enemies remaining.
I wish 343 did a better job at connecting all of their game stories. It's painful having to explain to my friend I've been playing through the games with that there's like 4 books in between the games. Yeah, I feel like 343's gotta, like... They gotta get away, I think, a little bit from, like...
Hill incoming.
They gotta start telling more side stories. Like, if Master Chief is the thing that sells games, that is okay. But tell some side stories with the Chief that aren't, like, the most crazy, like, galaxy-threatening, like, the world is gonna end again for the 3rd time this week type stories. Because it does, and they've also really got to stop with the Forerunners. Like, you can explore Forerunners without it being like, actually, we're going to tell you the super secret, super untold history of the Forerunners again. Like, they got to stop exploring Forerunner lore and Forerunner history, because at this point it's getting in the way of, like, the story being told, if that makes any sense. Because it starts to become adjectives, I guess. Like just a salad of big capital letter words for things.
Double kill. Enemy team took the hill.
the didact wants the mantle of responsibility to reclaim from the forerunner, Ginsung, librarian, didact, Promethean, arbiter. Like, it's just like too much. Like, let's slow down a little bit and let's have like a normal fucking story, you know?
That was me when explained to me.
Yeah.
Like 25.
Yeah.
Double kill. Triple kill. Overkill.
To be honest, they have gotten away from the books more. Yeah, the direction that they're taking the books in, they seem to be telling more complementary stories, which is probably like the best way to do it right now. But I do wish that they'd tell like some stories just in the Halo universe that are set during some things that happened that maybe aren't like the most important things in the world. Like, let's go back in time a little bit and let's tell a story during the Covenant War. You know? Something like that.
Your team about to score. Hail, Guardian. I'll stop you myself. I see the human.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, you're dead, baby? Okay, let me get you.
Double kill. Triple kill. Cluster. Double kill.
Oh my god, no, I'm gonna die. Okay.
Enemy team took the hill.
Um,
Enemies remaining.
Frank O'Connor is Franco Canon, canonically speaking. Well, I think Frank O'Connor is Franco looking for a job at the moment. What is Frank O'Connor up to? Being canon? Oops. I saw that nasty brute do that.
Hill control.
Here we are, baby. Yeah, Halo's a tough franchise. A tough franchise, I think, to tell stories in. Mostly because people want Master Chief stories, and they want Master Chief stories to be crazy. And in order for them to be crazy, they have to advance the universe in a kind of serious way. Like, weirdly enough, I think the best period for Halo was after Halo 3. Like, Halo 3 came out, that was the end of Chief. He was put into cryosleep at the end of Halo 3. Because then after that, we got, like, Halo Legends, Halo ODST, Halo Wars, Halo Reach, like, all of these cool books. And because it was like, now that, like, the Halo universe, the story is done, you know, the fight is finished with the Covenant, we can now start exploring the Halo universe a little bit. And unfortunately, now that, like, Master Chief's back, it's like everything needs to advance forward, and the stakes need to be increased, and they need to get crazier and crazier. Oh boy. I just hear a bunch of angry brutes yelling.
Enemy team took the hill.
The slipspace engine was actually made to bring Frank into the Halo universe, which he now lives in as the lone janitor, Hamish Beamish.
Reinforcements.
Oh, that janitor character, they tried for a long time to make that janitor character like a running gag for 343's games, but it didn't really work, I guess. And Frank O'Connor would always play the janitor character. To the point that they in Halo 2, they removed a Bungie Easter egg and replaced it with Frank O'Connor's janitor character. Why did 343 push for rated T and not bring back the Flood instead? For marketing, mostly, and just like, so, man, it's this very complicated thing. I think somebody at BioWare explained it. No, it was, Yeah, it was somebody at BioWare. They did a GDC talk about a Sonic RPG game called Sonic Chronicles that they made. Oh, you didn't realize you were back? Yeah, we're all dead. Well, in this Sonic Chronicles game, what he explained was there's this thing that is happening in the industry more and more. You know, like as games become more expensive, I forgot there is a specific term for it, but basically it's like identify what your game would best fit into, like ratings wise. And it was like, not like you, the fan, subjectively what you think it should be. In order to sell the most and reach the most amount of players without sacrificing key aspects of your franchise, what should your franchise be rated? And he like talked about Sonic. He was like, well, Sonic can't ever go T for teen, you know, because that would only reduce the Sonic brand. Like, kids wouldn't be able to play Sonic if it was rated T for teen. And then he talked about Mass Effect, and it was like, well, Mass Effect, because it's a story-driven game and because it's very politically engaged, like, you wouldn't be able to tell very deep stories if you didn't have the M rating. And then so it had me thinking about Halo and why Halo went T for teen. And there probably was a lot of exploration of, like, would we be able to reach more people if this series was rated T for teen rather than rated M? I like Halo being rated M, you know? But it also does kind of show that, like, the worst thing that kind of happens when you make Halo rated M or rated T for teen is, like, you know, a little bit less blood from the human characters. Flood are a little bit neutered, but they're barely a factor in the story anymore to begin with. And probably like a couple of other things that I haven't considered, but for the most part, it's not as damaging. Or as, you know, it doesn't reduce Halo, I guess, as dramatically as I think some of us Halo fans think. I might download Gears 5. Is it any fun? I played most of the Gears games before. Yeah, Gears 5 is pretty fun, actually. Halo lost too much from the switch to T for teen. As somebody who enjoys some of the grittier aspects of Halo, I missed a little stuff too. But I'm also, like, I'm not, I guess, going to lose sleep over a rated T for teen rating. That's just how I feel, at least.
Honestly, rated T rating versus M, I like T because I don't have to say, ew, so gross all the time.
So that is why Halo is rated T. What my wife just said is it's less like ew, disgusting. There's less of those moments in Halo, the ew, disgusting moments. And which, for us Halo fans, that might be like, oh, why can't people get it? But it's, if you want Halo to be enjoyed by more people, there are some people that just, you know, they just don't like a lot of violence. Missed Super. To be fair, Chief has been involved in Has Chief been involved in high-stakes plots since Combat Evolved? Involving him in anything lesser would probably come off as slice of life by comparison. Ugh. We'll do one more match. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. That's the problem with the Chief.
With the beef?
Yeah, with the mastered beef.
Jefe Maestro.
Yeah, Jefe Maestro. The rolled R, I can...
No, that was really good.
Okay. I don't think that makes sense in a development standpoint. Games will sell if they're good, and that's all that matters. It's not the case. That's not entirely the case. Games will sell if they are... Expensive games will sell if they can appeal to as many people as possible. And if your investors are okay. So basically, it's like, if you want to have a game that has animation quality like something from Call of Duty or the production value of like a Halo game or something. It's going to require hundreds of millions of dollars. And in order to convince investors that it's going to work, you have to show them proof. You can't just say like, well, the game's going to be good. You know, they're going to be like, okay, all right, and they're going to make you leave. Like, you've got to show them that the game will appeal to this group of players. We're estimating that if we do sell the game, it'll sell like this amount of copies. It'll make you guys this much money. We could make some tweaks to it. We could maybe lower the M rating. That means kids in this age range can ask their parents for the game and they won't get pushback, which will add an extra, you know, X and X amount of dollars to the sale. Like, and then you'd get like, you know, okay, here is your hundreds of millions of dollars for your budget. Now, in the indie sphere, where things are crowdfunded, what you're describing is a little bit more true. But for gigantic, expensive games where you do need large budgets, unfortunately, it's a game of like, you gotta work the system and work with the system, I guess. Yeah. You can make a good game, but can you also make a good game that also appeals to a ton of people, as many people as possible, the lowest barrier to entry humanly possible. You know, and sometimes that's like, okay, we've made our first-person shooter. Now, would more people play it if we removed the head violently exploding? Probably. Probably, because less people would be saying, gross, I don't want this game. Which people do say, gross, I don't want this game if it's too violent. That is a factor. That's probably even why you've noticed Call of Duty starting to get away from, like, the gritty milsim stuff. And they're trying to be, like, a little bit more colorful. Is because Call of Duty is also doing the same thing, trying to make itself more, appealing to a broad player base, and for the most part it seems to be working at the sacrifice of Call of Duty's like identity, I guess. But that's where a different discussion goes in.
Your team scored. Weapon drop.
Isn't COD rated M so many people get it? Yeah, Call of Duty is rated M just because I think of like, it's almost like it has to be. Like Call of Duty can't get out of the M rating because it is, I mean, your game is called Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you're like shooting people with guns. It's a little bit different than like Halo, where it's like, well, with Halo you're shooting like cartoons, you know, you're shooting aliens. Yeah, Doom is extremely M rated.
Yeah, because it's like,
Reinforcements.
Yeah, but they are, I mean,
so nasty.
yeah, like you
It's
rip a tooth out of its mouth and then stab it in the head with its own tooth, like that kind of stuff. And for Doom, that's kind of like a part of its core identity, which is like the heavy metal album cover type vibe.
Reinforcements.
Halo's...
In Halo, for Halo, you got the grunt dies, and that's
Yeah.
it.
For Halo, you've got like Happy Birthday Grunt Super Party. Halo's mature content is fairly tame. What annoys me is people seem to think the best route for the series is going the inverse of extreme brutal Halo. Yeah, no, that would be an atrocious idea if Halo did a 180 and became one of the most violent games on the market. That would be an awful idea.
Your team about to
Oh yeah, and you
Score.
couldn't have like, you know, the grunt like, you know, oh no, and then you just like rip out its spine, like, yeah, like it would be like a weird tonal disconnect. Like, I also think Halo can be rated M, but I do also think,
You could be rated M with Master Chiefs.
yeah, Rebecca says rated M with Master Cheeks. Yeah.
Remain.
And when you're up in the next game, there's Maki, and then
Oh no.
you guys can't
Your team scored.
Oh my god, what if Maki becomes canon?
like the only canon aspect.
Oh, the only thing that they're like, we found the character of Maki to be actually a very successful addition to the Halo IP, so we've canonized her. And it's like the teaser for the next Halo game is like, you see,
John.
yeah, it's the camera is on the ground looking down a vast hall, and Master Chief's foot is in front of the camera, like he's standing kind of in front of it, and then boom, his helmet lands next to his foot like he's taking off his helmet, and down the hall is naked Maki, like, come on, John, you know, and then cut to Halo coming 2027 or something. Yeah, it would be gosh, people want a flood horror game. That would be a scary game for Halo fans. And just his cheeks are out. Oh yeah, you see the back of Master Chief fully naked.
Or
And,
like the suit, the undersuit falls down too, and you just see the red cheek. You hear a zipper sound.
Reinforcement.
oh my god. Oh my god, and then the space diaper falls on the ground. Oh, and with a loud clang, because it's made out of metal.
Double kill. Triple kill. Kill. Tacular. Double kill. Triple kill.
It could be called Halo.
Reinforcement.
It could be called Halo Unrated. Halo Unrated cut. Halo After Dawn. It'd be like a Halo dating game. Frozen Fire says certainly coming 2027.
Yeah.
Reinforcements.
Man, it is. There. Okay, I Halo Season 2 so far has been pretty good,
Triple kill.
but
The
the electron.
Yeah, she's like, do I not look like her?
Yeah, the electric brothel. Like, was that?
That was so funny. You two looked at each other like, OMG.
Yeah, we were like, it's like, it's happening again. Yeah. We're talking about spoilers. Yes. No, we're talking spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Was it necessary for Master Chief to be missing Cortana in his brain, and so he goes to an AI brothel?
It was funny that the AI was like,
She's like, do I...
Your team about to score.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, it seems our time is up. And he's like looking at himself like, what the hell am I doing? And I'm thinking the exact same thing.
come on, there was a moaning sound.
There were weird, suspicious sounds in the audio mixing. It's just like it. I can only assume that scene was like a Paramount Plus thing. Like they want it to be like Game of Thrones. They want it to be like gritty, but they're like feeling the pressure from people from the Master Chief sex scene.
Guardian.
It
Last enemy.
it isn't that hard to not put Pablo Schreiber in situations
Where he
that
could get hard.
yeah. Or like where people can make jokes out of it, you know?
Yeah, like what I just did.
Yeah, like what Rebecca just did. Because it's like that sex scene was so bad that it made it onto like
It's just funny.
it made it onto Wikipedia. That is now a like historical point about the Halo show that the sex scene was widely criticized. And it's like for them to be like, can you make him go to an AI brothel for a scene? Like, Look, what's going on, guys?
Reinforcements.
I like me some gore. Mass Effect 3 still has the best headshot effect of any game, with skulls bursting like rotten watermelons. Yeah, Mass Effect 3's headshot effect, I remember the crunch sound.
Triple kill.
Yum.
Frenzy.
So Cortana is dead now in the Halo show? No, Cortana's not dead. She's currently being used by... She was apprehended by Ackerson, who is like, Halsey's experiments are crazy, man. But like, this Cortana thing already exists, I might as well use it. And so he's basically got like Cortana locked up in a computer basement, not allowed to leave her room. But he's like using her for his own means.
Double kill.
It's like when your parent takes away your iPad because you're grounded, and then your parent is like, well, I'll just use the iPad right now for recipes, you know, because my kid's grounded. And then by the time you get your iPad back, the parent doesn't want to give it back to you because they're addicted to it. That's basically what's going on with Ackerson now, it seems. Like, he took away Cortana from Halsey. Yeah, and I can only assume Ackerson is responsible for her atrocious new haircut. Yes.
He just like changed her hairstyle and looked.
Yeah, Ackerson opened up the character creator.
What if she looks different because that's what he wants her to look like?
Ackerson?
Yeah.
Like, was it like, did he do it to be mean?
Like, because it's like his AI now.
Oh, like he just totally changed the way she...
And then if Master Chief gets Cortana back, then she will like glitch and go back to her old design, and she'll be like, that's better.
Maybe. But they talked about before the show, before the 2 episodes released, the new showrunner was talking about how they redesigned Cortana. And they redesigned things in the Halo show to make Halo fans happier. And I don't know any Halo fan that's happier with the new Cortana design. So I hope you're right, babe. I hope that she does go back to how she used to look.
Maybe that's how they're gonna like fix it.
Oh, maybe that's what they were setting up with Master Chief going to the AI prostitute.
Oh yeah, yeah, you see, you can just like easily edit the AI.
No, you don't understand. The AI brothel scene was very important for the story. So in Halo Canon, there are dumb AIs and smart AIs. Dumb AIs, like, they look like people, but they're like a Siri. You know, it's like they really aren't a personality. They just have an avatar so that you can talk to something. That AI brothel thing was probably like a dumb AI. Like, it was just like ChatGPT. Like, ChatGPT seems real, but it's not real. You know, it's programmed to respond and write things that way. There isn't actually like a personality. Where with Cortana, there is a personality. And I guess with the Halo show, they're trying to say that Cortana was the first intelligent, self-aware AI ever made, and she was created using a real human brain. Now, in the lore, it's not quite that controversial. Like, it's not that crazy. Like Cortana's background, it's more that like Cortana is just like uniquely one of the smartest AI ever created, but not because she's special or anything, but just because she's Cortana. You have to? You can go. That's okay, baby. I love you.
Double kill.
I just joined the stream, and I kid you not, I got an advertisement for Season 2 of Halo. Season 2 of Halo's fairly decent so far. At least that's my take. You should stream Helldivers 2. I 100% recommend it for Halo and Star Wars fans. Dude, Helldivers 2 looks like a ton of fun. It's a little bit out of my budget, unfortunately, but it's on my radar, okay?
Took the hill.
It helps that it's on Steam. No way he has the right stick as throw grenade. Yeah, if you want to know why right stick is my grenade, I can actually explain it to you. Okay, so using left trigger to zoom is pretty important just for like the way that Halo 5 and Halo Infinite play. It's a little bit easier than because you can snap in and out of your aim really fast, seamlessly. Right bumper is my melee button just because, like, you know, I've been playing these Halo games for so long that like anything other than right bumper feels very weird to me. For jump, I use the left bumper. That way I can like look around while I'm making my jumps, which leaves me with, well, I've got no triggers left and no bumpers left. So what's gonna be the grenade button? Well, I'm not using that right stick for anything. Might as well make that my grenade button. And what's nice about that is I can make micro adjustments then to my aim as I'm clicking it so that I can get the grenade arc just the way I want it. So it seems crazy, but there is a logic to it, and that is my logic. Hopefully that explains the right stick as grenade. Because yes, it is very unusual. It almost makes me wish that Xbox had a third bumper of some kind. That would be stupid, by the way, if it did. That would be awful, but you know what I mean. I use bumper jumper in Halo 5, and it's the perfect controls for the game. Yeah, bumper jumper can work as well. It's mostly just that like 343's Halo games are very much designed with like aiming down the sights as a core part of the combat loop, more so than previous games. Well, actually quite a bit different from previous games because they didn't have that feature. So it's the ability to snap in and out of your aiming down the sights is a little bit more important this time around. And as for Halo Infinite, even though you don't get the aiming down the sights accuracy buff that you do in Halo 5, what does help is because you're playing at such a wide field of view, because of the field of view slider, being able to zoom in a little bit does help, because, you know, the field of view is so expanded that the AI look very, very, very tiny off in the distance on your screen. So being able to just, like, hit the left trigger to get, you know, like, a better look at them. Low-key really miss Halo 5 MP. I don't share that missing. I don't see how Halo 3 Sandbox is good. It just feels to me like all the weapons are extremely weak. Depends, I guess, on what you want from a sandbox. Halo 3 Sandbox is definitely not perfect. You know, there's some things like, I think of like the Halo 3 Magnum, where it's kind of like, this thing wasn't necessary. It could be implemented in a different way. But for the most part, or, you know, also like the Spiker and stuff like that, like, probably could have handled that a little bit different. But for the most part, I think the Halo 3 Sandbox hits most of the marks. Just because it's not trying to be like the kind of post-Call of Duty 4 era where shooter games began to kind of coalesce around the idea of like a weapon. You should be able to pick up any weapon and just go on a killing spree with it. Like, and weapons should be primarily designed around like, rather than like laser guns, gravity weapons, and blah blah blah. It's like, just have shotguns, sniper rifles, and fully automatic rifles. And what makes a weapon different is its range and fire rate. So Halo 3, Halo 2, and Halo Combat Evolved are from a different era where weapons are more about like how they, like what they bring to the table that allows you to use them in concert with other weapons, you know, or how they encourage players to flow around a match, I guess. You know, like the assault rifle or the SMG from Halo 2, the key reason that, you know, you can't get kills at a long range is so that people are able to move around matches a little bit more. Like, you know, you're not cross-mapping people constantly, because that's BR starts, you know, that's competitive starts. So the weapons are limited in range. You have a lot of breathing room. You know, your distances are covered. People are moving around a little bit more. And then when they are in combat, because the weapon is just weak enough, you're encouraged to, you know, engage in combat in a more interesting way, throwing grenades, punching things. So it's like the weapon's mechanics are encouraging more varied gameplay from its players. Nowadays, weapons are more around, like, you know, you gotta buff it, you gotta buff it, you gotta buff it. People need to be able to get double kills with any weapon in the game. Yeah. So that's basically it. In my opinion, there's a fine line between Halo Combat Evolved's Blood Geysers and Flood Dismemberment versus Halo Brutality Evolved's corpses that explode like comedy pinatas. Yeah, like Combat Evolved, it also helps that it's like, you've got the Grunt Blood, which is bioluminescent in Halo Combat Evolved. So seeing it kind of like spraying all over the place, and by the time you're done with a firefight, it's like, it looks like somebody just like splattered chemicals all over the place. It is pretty goofy looking, you know? Yeah. Halo 3 ODST should have been DLC for Halo 3. Interesting fact, it was originally envisioned as DLC for Halo 3. That's when I think it was... It's like, ODST was born from this idea, I think it was called Halo Chronicles or something, and then it eventually morphed into Halo Recon. And then eventually they settled on the name Halo ODST. I guess that was probably maybe a marketing thing? Which Covenant blood is the tastiest? Oof. I wouldn't imagine any of the blood is the tastiest. I mean, I guess it depends on, like, the chemical composition of blood. Like, human blood tastes almost, like, weird metallic, I think, because of the iron? I forgot what it is in human blood that makes human blood have that, like, you know, weird taste to it. But it's something specific in it. And I know Grunt blood is bioluminescent because of some... I forgot what it was, man. It was an interesting rabbit hole diving down it. But Grunt blood is bioluminescent because of a specific thing in it. So that once Grunt blood is exposed to oxygen, it starts glowing. Halo 7 multiplayer needs weapon attachments, customization, upper lower receiver, under barrel, side barrel, bolt system, bullet load, barrel attachments, sparkling scopes. Oh boy. Yeah, we're that is an interesting direction to take Halo in. Basically doing the Halo Call of Duty attachment system. Not exactly the direction I would take the Halo series in, but it's interesting to hear other opinions. Let me decide on my what my coding is gonna be. Yeah, still not too happy with my current multiplayer Spartan. Oh, the game is currently bugged. It won't let me equip anything. They still haven't fixed that problem, have they? Yeah, it's stuck on the endless loading thing. That happens sometimes. Jackals probably taste like chicken. Maybe better. Depends, I guess. What? Because jackals also, they have like... Yeah, I guess they are mostly avian. I'm just trying to think, like... Yeah, they probably do taste like chicken. They're probably white meat, to be fair. Jackals. Honestly, attachments would be awesome in campaign. I think it depends. I think it depends, because I think the fun of, like, a good Halo campaign is that the developer usually has the most amount of control over what you can and can't do. And that's why, like, the Bungie era Halo campaigns were so specifically tailored for fun, you know? Where I think if you gave players the ability to sort of control what they go into battle with, then it's kind of like, well, you have to start designing your combat encounters for any play style. Like, think of, like, the beginning of Truth and Reconciliation. You're given the sniper rifle, Covenant are far away from you, and you're allowed to kind of, like, you know, start sniping them and stuff. If you were allowed to have a rocket launcher, or you were allowed to have a magnum, or a shotgun, or just whatever you wanted, that specific mission would be a lot less impactful. You know, it's less of, like, that's the mission where you start with the sniper rifle, and it's just another Halo mission. And that is kind of like a problem that Halo Infinite's open world campaign has, is if you're able to just have whatever gun you want whenever you want, moments that the developers craft for you are a little bit less memorable because they have to be more vague and spread out and broad a little bit because it needs to be designed for any variable. And I think it is more interesting when the sandbox is a little bit more developer-focused rather than player-focused. So the only reason that I would not enjoy an attachment system and a loadout system as much in a Halo campaign is just because of that. It gives the developers a little bit less control to craft really interesting, fun things for me to kind of think my way through with the tools that I'm being provided. Yeah, but hopefully that makes sense. Alrighty, guys. I shall see you later. Yeah, pretty good stream. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And I see some of you arguing in the chat.